sometimes you have to ignore the fact that work is still work and it can be a drudgery, and they speed up the timelines and they deal with the sensational, exciting cases. So in journalism in the United States, there's a saying among editors in journalism. They say when a dog bites a man, that's not news. You're never going to have a headline on the front of a newspaper that says dog bites man. However, when a man bites a dog, that's news. That's something that doesn't happen every day. So again, I don't know if it extends to other parts of the world, but we have a story here, a stereotype, if you will, that mail carriers, postal workers, letter carriers, if you will, are always attacked by everybody's dog. Everybody's dog wants to bite the guy who delivers the mail. When a postal worker gets bit by a dog, nobody's going to talk about it outside of his family, maybe his immediate boss. It's not really a big deal. But if postal workers are eating dogs, that would get people's attention. So there's a scholar, a criminologist by the name of Jeffrey Ryman, and he writes about something he calls the carnival mirror. So if you think about funhouse mirrors or carnival mirrors, they invert reality. They show you the opposite what might actually be true. They'll take somebody who's very tall. In the mirror, they look very short and tiny. Someone who's very short and heavy, and make them look very tall and skinny. So Jeffrey Ryman says this is what the media does to crime. It takes the things that are the most ordinary, the most common, and doesn't talk about them at all. And it takes about the things that are extraordinary, bizarre, weird, sensational, makes your skin crawl. And that's what it leans into and talks about all the time. So if you are trying to get your knowledge of the criminal justice system, of courts, of corrections from the movies, you're going to get a picture that in many ways is the opposite of the true reality. For most crime, it's pretty obvious who did it. The victim can tell you there were multiple witnesses, the motive is obvious. And when it's not obvious who did it, when it is a stranger crime, and nobody knows quite for sure, there's often not a lot of resources to do an investigation. If you look at the movies, if you look at the streaming series, a lot of times they'll have a whole team of people working on solving a case for weeks. They're devoting all their time to it, doing interviews, hunting down clues. Whereas in reality, law enforcement agencies just don't have the resources to do that for every crime. It's either obvious who did it or we're moving on to the next one because we just don't have the ability to dig in deep and solve all of those crimes. Same thing, things like domestic violence or petty theft happens many times every day. But something like serial murder, somebody who's killing others just for the fun of it or just for the sexual gratification of killing others, that makes for a great movie, but those cases are far and few between. That's really not what most crime looks like. And if your idea is that you want to profile serial killers for a living, well, there might be one or two people in the entire country who do that, and millions of people who want to do that, but there's just not enough of that happens on a regular basis. If you think about when was the last time you heard about a case like that? How often do you hear about a new case like that? It's really pretty infrequent. And you know it's not happening, and the news media is choosing not to tell you about it because they want you to tune in. They will tell you about every one of those cases. Almost all policing is reactive, which means they wait for the call. They're usually not there when the crime happens. They usually have to come after they got a call for assistance, which means they usually arrive after the crime is already completed and the offender has already departed. This means that what it means to do police work is usually not engaging in gun battles. It's usually not engaged in those direct sort of confrontation of stopping crime in progress. And if you really are upset by crime, if you really would like a society with fewer victims and more justice, you might have to look more at prevention. You might have to look more at culture and context and a little bit less at um, the tactics of running a SWAT raid. All right, where are we here on time? I'll wrap this up pretty quickly here. A few specifics here about Albright, and then I will turn it over for the real expert here from admissions to say more about Albright. The what makes criminology, crime and justice, cyber criminology, uh, psychology special here at Albright. One of those things is the opportunity for students to get involved in their own research projects right away. At other schools, they might have graduate programs that are well known. Everybody's heard of them, and everybody knows about uh, Harvard and Yale and Columbia, University of Chicago. But as an 18-year-old beginning your studies, they're not going to give you research experience. That at Albright College, you are the center of attention even from the very beginning. So we have things called ACRE grants, Albright Creative Research Experiences, in which we actually pay students to do research. And they can be projects that you design yourself. They might spend a summer, do an entire summer getting paid so you don't have to do other sorts of work. So you can work full time on your own research projects and working in partnership with a professor in that project, guiding you every step of the way. Sometimes ACRE projects do come from professors, that you might have a professor approach you and say, I've noticed you're a really good student. I've got this project I want to work on, and I'd like you to partner with me. Will you be my partner with this? But other times, students can initiate themselves and say, this is something I want to do research on. Will you partner with me, professor, so that I can get paid to do this research? Is a way that students sometimes spend the summer months still on campus rather than going back home again, because they can work through the entire summer with a professor, just one-on-one, just the two of them, on some project. We also have our honors program, or what's called departmental distinction, which doesn't come with money. It's less competitive to get into in that respect. You don't have to apply to the school, but it's something that is open to every high achieving student, that they can do, again, their own research projects to dig into something that they're interested in. And these are absolutely huge for launching your future career. I had another student, his name's John. I won't get into depth about John, but John was, I will just say, a poor student. He got low grades, his test scores were low, and I was feeling for John because he really loved criminology and he really wanted to get a PhD in criminology, and I didn't think he'd be able to do it. Well, the thing John did right is he did an ACRE grant and two different independent studies for departmental distinction. And between those three, the graduate schools loved him. There were actually PhD programs fighting to get him admitted to their program, despite his low grade point average, despite his low test scores, because he had all this research experience working with professors. We place students in internships. For some of our students, it's actually required in a lot of different places. I've just worked very recently with a student in a law office, actually helping youth who had committed crimes through the process of being prosecuted, so they understand what's happening to them and trying to keep them out of trouble and doing the right thing. We place a lot of students with Burke's Women in Crisis, which is a program for what may be called battered women, or women who have suffered abuse. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, U.S. Marshals, which work as the law enforcement branch for the courts, doing things like transporting inmates or hunting down people who've refused to appear for court who are required to do that. We place people in local police departments all the time, drug enforcement agencies, state police. Um, those are all internships we place people in. And our graduates get employment in a list that looks fairly similar to that internships list. We have placed people directly into the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Now, typically, those are not field agents because the FBI has a requirement that you must be 25 years old to be a field agent, so that some of ours have moved into being field agents after they graduate, but most of our graduates are less than 25 years old, so they don't qualify to be field agents. So in fact, they tend to go into being intelligence analysts first. They might be listening in on wiretaps. They might be looking at transcripts. They might be doing interviews. And then they move from that into being a field agent if they want to at some point in the future, or they may simply keep climbing the ranks as intelligence analysts. We had a graduate a few years ago who, shortly after he graduated, I reached out to him and got in contact with him again. And he was doing anti-terrorist activity in Harrisburg, the state capital of Pennsylvania, again, monitoring different groups and trying to look to see if something was imminent, if they were up to something. Just placed another graduate in a probation office looking at, she's monitoring youth who get themselves into trouble and trying to keep them out of trouble, meeting with them each day, talking about how they spent their day, talking to them about how they make their decisions and helping them live lives that keep them out of the criminal justice system and moving forward to be successful adults. And then last point I really want to make here is that Albright is also notable for its environment. I hope I've come across as open, welcoming, friendly today. And we really take a pride in that, that it is a place where students hang out in my office in the middle of the day to talk to me about nothing in particular, that I will eat lunch with students in the lounge, that it is not an intimidating environment where we try to dominate students and crush their wills or anything like that. But even in the classroom, it's more discussion than it is anything else, problem solving, critical thinking. And we have a wide diversity of faculty with a wide diversity of expertise to meet your own particular interests. And an emphasis on leadership, not just for entry-level work and you'll never get a job ever again, but the one you get first, but to prepare you to keep moving up after that first job, and student research opportunities, as I mentioned. So that's it from me. There's my closing slide, and I'm going to turn it over. I'm not quite sure who has it next after me. I'll stop the sharing here of
Thank
my
you so
slides.
much, Professor Rice. I am sure that you are approachable the way you have explained every bit of different kind of fields, careers, everything that students need to know, because certainly there is a lot of question that students have. What is the difference between this versus this versus this? And with almost an hour of a session, we still are holding on to 320 students. So certainly you did have a very magical way to connect with the students. So thank you so much for that amazing presentation and helping the students actually understand and do a lot of correlation between the fact that, how do you do it at Albright? And one of the things which I certainly take back very strongly is, yes, it's a fact that nothing is what we typically see in the series and in the movies, because that's how we have unfortunately seen, all throughout our lives, whether it is through movies, series, documentaries. But it is certainly beyond that, that we need to understand that it is definitely deeply rooted, whether it is in human behavior or whether it is about the social systems, as you said, critical thinking as well. So, and it is not just about catching the culprit or who committed the crime kind of a thing. It is also about why a particular crime happened, or how is actually justice being served as well, and where typically the society would fit in into this entire conversation. And we truly understood that, how Albright does. And for everybody, including Michael, Janice, and Professor Rice, for you, Abhishek is here, who is the founder and the CEO of High School Moms, just to quickly take 2 through 3 minutes to interact with the students, because that's what he loves doing with the students, since he's the career coach and the counselor for over 15 years. Hi, Abhishek. Are you by any chance here?
Absolutely, and I've been listening on the sidelines to Professor Rice. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening, motivating students to think beyond the obvious. Because in India, unfortunately for us, careers stop at medicine, engineering, accounting, and law. And thinking about careers like criminology is just a fresh intake from Albright and from you. Thank you so much for taking out time on a weekend and still doing this for us. Can't tell you how thankful I am on behalf of all the students in the session. And it speaks a lot because these are the kids who have a mind of their own. They do not start their cameras and they are sitting with their cameras on. So it speaks a volume about you and the interest in the topic. Boys and girls, thank you so much for joining in today. Another few minutes with us, and then we'll leave you with whatever we have left Saturday out of you, and you can enjoy them. Having said that, criminology is not just about what I learned from Professor Rice right now is it's not just about catching criminals. It's about understanding why crime happens and how to prevent it. If you want to change the society, this is where the change begins. If you're someone who loves solving puzzles, understanding human behavior, asking the why instead of what, then this might be the career for you. And you can definitely look at a major in criminology. A little bit about Pennsylvania, one of the most beautiful places in the United States. And I would say city of the first hospital in America, first zoo in America, first stock exchange in America, first art museum in America. All of them were founded in Pennsylvania. And a little bit about Albright. If you're looking at an institution who does not judge you by marks, but judge you by what you truly are, if you're looking at an institution which believes in the power of allowing you to decide your own degree, whether it is psychology plus fashion, business plus music, criminology plus psychology, biology plus theater, you name it. Whatever you want to define your degree, an institution with high impact where you are not just a number, but a name, 13:1 student to faculty ratio, deep relationship with professors like Professor Rice, who are deeply connected with the corporate, who are deeply connected with the institutions, who will write those recommendation letters so that you get your first internship, you get your first project, you get your first job. Mentors who know your name, your story. Your story is very important, and each one of us has a story and your dreams. An institution which welcomes students from over 30 countries and tells you that this is the place where you belong. An institution which is career focused from day one by bringing in some of the most innovative programs in the most experiential manner. That's the institution Professor Rice represents. And that's the institution why he even took out, because it's all in the DNA, he took out his time on a weekend which was reserved for his family, his friends, for people like you and me, whom he hardly knows. Thank you so much, Professor Rice, for doing things for the young generation. We say that India is going to be the next superpower, but if it has to become a superpower economically or otherwise, it will be because of these students. Possibly you and me will not be there to witness that, but it will be because of these students, and there will be a contribution from you in making them aware, informed, so that they can take an informed decision about their career and their college choice. Thank you so much, Professor Rice. Over to Avni.
You're very welcome. Let me just say that I'm here on a Saturday morning because I love students, and in fact, I'm spending the rest of the day with Albright students choosing courses for their fall classes. So that yeah, he's right. Nobody paid me to be here today. I'm here because I want the best criminologists in the world going forward. That's how we have a better world, is having really talented people like you in a field like this.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much. Thank you so much, sir. From our side, you're free to go. We still request professionals from Albright to be here to talk a little bit more about Albright so that students can take an informed decision. You have, and from our side, you're free to go. Thank you so much, sir. You're on mute, sir.
I said, I think I'm just going to turn off my camera here for a second, and I'll just stay on the line a little bit longer.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Over to you, Avni.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. Thank you so much, Professor Rice. And I'm not going to keep the students waiting for a long time, because I do know you have some questions to ask Professor Rice, because there were a lot of questions that started coming in when I started the chat again, hence I had to disable it again. But let's quickly listen from Michael, who is the admissions counselor at Albright. And he is also somebody who has studied in Pennsylvania, and where he actually thought that, he needs an institution with a strong sense of community. And that's where he actually discovered true passion for working with students and faculty. So over to you, Mike. That's what we have been calling you for the last couple of meetings of ours. But let's help students understand what's unique about Albright. And every student out there, if you are interested in knowing more about Albright, I am certainly going to be sharing a form in the chat as well, so that you can fill in the form. And Miss Kirti Bhardwaj, I don't see her on the screen right now. Kirti, if you could just raise the hand, who is the in-country representative for Albright, it means that she is the point of contact for every student and parent who would like to know more about Albright. Yes, at the same time, let me tell you, Albright offers practically every course a student would be looking at. And to make their the education affordable, they do offer some scholarships also. So certainly you would want to get in touch with Miss Kirti Bhardwaj, and Kirti at the same time would certainly be sharing her contact details in the chat, so that you can email her as well as WhatsApp her, or even get onto a call, so that you can understand about the college. But before we do all of that, Mike, over to you to quickly help students understand a little about Albright. Maybe let's just take 2 minutes to help them understand what is Albright all about. Obviously, I know it's all about liberal education out there, but it would be great to hear from somebody like you. Over to you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Dr. Rice, for sharing about the criminology program. We really appreciate it. Hello, students. My name is Mike Ferruda, and yes, I am an admissions counselor at Albright College. I am responsible for reaching out to out-of-state students in our area, and I will be one of the main points of contact with high school moms to answer any questions for any interested students. To go into Albright College, I actually have a brief presentation I put together. I will keep it as short as I can. One moment. I'm going to share my screen. Excuse me. Sorry. All right. So we've covered a lot with Dr. Rice. So we're going to briefly go through. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. So yes, Albright College is located in Reading, Pennsylvania. As you've heard, we are close to major cities such as Philadelphia, Baltimore, and New York City, and Washington, D.C. We are located just outside of Penn Avenue in West Reading, which is a very wonderful populated area for off-campus activities, whether it's restaurants, shopping, or community events. We have easy access to Goggleworks, which is an art studio. If you are someone who enjoys arts and crafts, this may be a location for you, as many students and faculty have participated in pottery classes, drawing, painting, and much more. For educational outings, you can visit our Reading Public Museum, the Arboretum, and Planetarium for educational outings. And for our campus and community, Albright College is home to 1,600 students. That is including grad and undergraduate students. But with this size, we still maintain a 10-to-1 student to faculty ratio, meaning 10 students to 1 teacher in 1 classroom. So that makes it very easy for you to communicate with your teachers, get to know them, ask questions, get additional help with your assignments. You've heard Dr. Rice share that he's very social with his students. They visit his office, and it's very easy to form positive relationships with your professors as you continue on your academic journey. As of right now, we have students attending Albright College from 18 different states and 14 different countries, achieving a 48% diversity rate on campus. As you've heard Dr. Rice mention, we we are recognized as one of the most diverse schools in the country. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because you've heard a lot about academics. So I'm going to go all the way to our housing and student life on campus. Excuse me, sorry. So just going into this a little bit. We have over 70 different clubs and organizations, both academic-based clubs, arts clubs, entertainment, and so on. As you can see by our list here, we have a variety of different options and experiences provided for students. If there is something that you are that you're interested in doing that we do not offer, you can easily start your own club by meeting with 10 other students who share your same interest and working with a faculty member to put that club together and having them sponsor it. Going into athletics, we are a Division III school. We do not offer athletic scholarships, but we are members of the Mid-Atlantic East Conference, and we offer 24 co-ed varsity sports, 2 club sports, and 7 intramurals. And we have 38% of our students participating in a sport. This fall, we will be introducing stunt, which is a more competitive form of cheer, and we will also be introducing men's wrestling, followed by women's wrestling in 2026. And we are also in the process of starting flag football. As you can see by our pictures, we do offer experiences in basketball, lacrosse, soccer, football, and much more. And some fun activities. We're going to just briefly go over this. We just have all these silly activities on campus that bring the community together, such as ponding, where it is if it is your birthday, excuse me. We have students who throw each other into our campus pond for just as a silly tradition to get friends together. We have our activities and wellness fair and block parties to bring the community together for entertainment and fun. We have late night breakfasts. We have silly games like Air Band, which is basically music through mime. And we have Oozeball, which is a charity-based event where students play volleyball in the mud to raise money for programs of interest. Going to residence life. Living on campus is a unique experience itself. We offer 8 different residence halls in 5 different styles. Our traditional, which is a twin bedroom with closet, drawer, and desk. Every room also comes with a micro fridge, which is a microwave and mini fridge combined. Every room also comes with Wi-Fi and air conditioning. And as you can see, there are the traditional rooms, the pods, which is like combined rooms sharing one communal bathroom. Apartments, which are large in size with kitchens, single bathrooms, multiple bedrooms, and living space, similar to suites. And then there are multiple houses on campus that students can live in together. As freshmen, we have designated freshman buildings for your first year, Walton, Krause, and Smith Hall. After you've completed your first year, you are then eligible for any of the other residence halls on campus. And you're always more than welcome to reach out and ask us any questions about the living accommodations. Meal plans. We have 3 different meal plans offering a different amount of weekly meal swipes and bonus dollars that allow students to dine in one of our various locations on campus. The McMillian Center Dining Hall is our main cafeteria on campus where students can come and select from a variety of options, and every day there is a different dish being served. In addition, we have Jake's Java, which is a coffee stand. We have the Rockland Market, which is a food court hosting places such as Jake's Place, which is like sandwiches. We also offer burgers, fries, and much more. And then we also have Pegs, which is our gym cafe. The gym cafe serves protein shakes, healthy meals for an after workout snack.
Thank you, Michael. Just to be cognizant of time, I think we'll pass it on back to the group here, unless there's any other things that you would like us to cover.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much, Janice. What I would definitely would like is for students to ask any questions that they would have for Professor Rice, because definitely they had a lot of questions with regards to certain bits and pieces of criminology, even though he had taken a very comprehensive session. Professor Rice, do you mind taking maybe 2-3 questions from the students? Students, if you have any questions for Professor Rice, I would request you to raise your hand. There she is. Prisha is there. And let me tell you, we need to be extremely cognizant of the time. So let's not take more than 2 to 3 questions. Students will have to be on the camera if you want to ask your question. And the rule of the game certainly is that introduce yourself, your full name, your school, your grade, and the city, and then go ahead and ask question to Professor Rice. So let's start first with Prisha Mishra, because she was the first one to raise the hand.
I hope I'm audible to everyone. Very good evening to one and all present here. I am Prisha. I am currently in class 11th. I am from Delhi World Public School, that is in Noida Extension. Basically, I have been thinking to go for criminal psychology, and my question to Sir Kenan Rice is that should the psychological evidence be allowed to override the hard evidences in a criminal trial?
So it's a really great question. I could see how somebody would really struggle with thinking that's a conflict that would have to be resolved. In my experience, that the question is probably even more complicated than it sounds on the surface, because in the kinds of court systems we have in the United States, where it's an adversarial system, you have a prosecutor who's trying to collect all the evidence to indicate that a person might be guilty of a crime. And then you have the defense who's trying to collect and present all the evidence that they might not be guilty of that crime. And the physical evidence and the psychological evidence hopefully will be in line with each other, that it would actually be unusual that they would conflict with each other, because there is a factual situation, right? Like something really did happen and it really was done by someone. So if they're good, strong evidence, the two things should be in alignment with each other. There shouldn't be any conflict to overcome at all. If they are in conflict with each other, the question is why? Why might the physical evidence say something different than the psychological evidence? And then we have to look at the strength of each. We have to look at the specifics of the situation. Maybe some of the physical evidence isn't as strong as we looked like at first. Maybe the psychological evidence is a little bit more shaky than it seemed at first, but it's about parsing out that difference. And what you asked is a very philosophical question. Should it be this way or should it be the other way? And I will leave the philosophical questions to the philosophers and the religious studies scholars. that what I look at more is the systems. So the question would not be, should the psychological evidence or the physical evidence be considered more seriously, but how will a jury or how will a judge regard that? So we can try to understand how juries and judges make their decisions without necessarily having to decide what's right or wrong. Now, if we find, for instance, that juries make a lot of mistakes or they engage in thought processes that it seems like they're irrational, that maybe they shouldn't be engaging in those thought processes, then that's something we can look into trying to adjust. We can look at trying to, should the law be changed? Should the decision makers be changed? Do juries or judges need more training? Those sorts of questions. All right, I hope I addressed what you were asking.
Prisha, was your question answered?
Yes, I got that. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Okay, the next question. All girls want to ask questions. This is very fascinating and very interesting. Instead of any of the boys who have raised the hand. But okay,
Avni, you're such a good sociologist recognizing patterns in human behavior here.
okay. Okay, let's go next to Anya Rehani. Introduce yourself and please ask your question.
Am I audible? Hello.
Hello, go ahead.
I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Anya Rehani and I am from Modern High School for Girls in Kolkata. I am in grade 11. It's an ISC board. So, sir, my question to you, Karen Rice, sir, it would be that, so my electives are sociology, psychology, applied mathematics, and history. I'm not from a science background, and I am genuinely very fascinated and interested in psychology. It has been the constant subject I've always loved for years now. So, is criminology something I should be looking into? Like, can I? Because I'm not from a science background as per se.
I would say absolutely yes. So that was something that I tried to make clear at the beginning of the presentation, that forensics does involve all different sciences. So you don't have to study biology or chemistry or physics to get involved in this field. I didn't. Those are not my first loves. My background is very much in social science, in human behavior. That's what makes me excited. That's what I like to read about. That's what I like to think about. Those are the puzzles I like to solve, is how do people think and why are they doing these things that are so awful that I just can't relate to them initially. I love to be able to put myself in the shoes of others and also to look at social systems and see how can we make these things better. On the one hand, it is, I think what fuels most people is others, connection with other people. And sociology and psychology allow you to do that. But on the other hand, that can be overwhelming to be in someone else's head who has a very troubled life. And sometimes sociology allows one to have a little bit of distance. So you mentioned I think you said applied math. Was that one of your courses? Applied math, is that one of the classes you were taking?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I think that's perfect. I think that's wonderful. I think that really would help move you towards, even in the social sciences, towards a really successful career. Now, you don't have to be a mathematician. You don't have to be a statistician to be a criminologist either. But there is definitely a lot of employment for people who have those skills. So that is one of the areas that I did a lot of when I was in graduate school, taking multiple courses on advanced statistics, because if you're going to identify these patterns and you're going to do studies and you want to look at the data to see if this intervention program helped people change their behavior, that's a math problem. I teach statistics myself in my senior seminars for undergraduate students, and some students take to it naturally. and they love it, and that's the easy part of the course for them. And other students find that the hard part, and they just want to do the problem solving, not the math part. But if you have those skills, those would be very good for you as well. But I would not be scared at all with the courses you named with your interests. In fact, I think programs like Albright, folks, criminology programs are a really good fit for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Does that help? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Perfect. And this is for all of you, and Professor Rice, you can certainly correct me out there. But typically at Albright, being liberal art or liberal education, you are typically not required until unless, yes, it's core sciences that you would be required to have certain subjects. But otherwise, you can pursue a variety of combination of subjects at Albright, as well as Abhishek said, whether it is criminology with psychology, and not necessarily that you need to have specific subjects to pursue those kind of courses at Albright for that matter. Okay, let's take one more question.
Avni, if I can just specify that just a little bit, a real strength of Albright is the ability to customize your course choice. That especially because of the co-majors, almost every student can almost design their own major. If you want to take biochemistry and criminology, you can do that. If you never want to take a biology course ever again, you can do that too. That you can, obviously, if you want to work in the area of criminology, you're going to need some criminology courses. But what I tell students that they usually think seems it's too good to be true, they're sort of skeptical to believe me at first. I say, take what you love, because if you're taking classes that you love, you're probably preparing yourself for the kinds of careers that you're going to love. Even if you're not sure what you want to do for a career yet, if you're taking classes that you love, you're probably moving in the right direction towards narrowing down that career. I had a student a few years ago who told me he wanted to work for the FBI and he wanted to combine accounting with criminology. And I said, that's a great move. The FBI is always hiring accountants. They always need people to do forensic accounting, to dig into this white collar crime and figure out the corruption. I was talking to him and he hated all of his accounting courses. He says, but I'm doing it so I can work for the FBI. And I had to tell him, I said, you understand that the FBI hires you, it's going to be to do accounting. So it doesn't matter who signs your paycheck. It doesn't matter if it says FBI on the paycheck. If you hate accounting, don't do accounting. It's not going to prepare you for a life that you enjoy. So that's the way I'd respond to that. Okay, thank you.
Interesting. Okay, let's take one last question because we were supposed to wind this at 7 o'clock Indian Standard Time. We are already past 5 minutes of that, and we should respect the fact I am making Professor this on a Saturday morning, and it's a huge crime for them to work on weekends, let me tell you. So I am the biggest criminal right now, just to try to, sound cool when we are doing a session on criminology. But okay, let's take one last question from maybe Anshika Chaurasia. Okay. Yes, Anshika.
Hello, ma'am and sir. My name is Anshika Chaurasia, and I'm currently in 10th grade, the Academy of Learning in Bangalore, India. So I mostly wanted to ask, most of these studies, crime-related, all of these are American-wise or mostly Western countries. How are we adapting these in the Indian standards or the East Asian countries?
I have to admit, I know almost nothing about the answer to your question. I would love to help. I saw someone put in the chat earlier and I was intimidated about answering about, hey, you probably have to have US citizenship to work for the FBI.
Yeah, that was me
don't
itself,
you?
so that was
And
me.
I thought, I've never been asked that before. I wouldn't be surprised if that was true, but unfortunately, that's a question that perhaps the hosting organization here can help with better than I can. I'm going to have to pitch that question. I don't know if Avni knows something right away here.
I will pitch this question to Abhishek. Because when he has so much of expertise in terms of careers and a little of a background of almost every field. Abhishek and Anshika, I would request you to please repeat your question for Abhishek so that he can certainly answer your question.
Yes, I'm sure. Sir, my question is that most of these criminologies, these studies, all of them are based on Western contexts, but there's not much based on the Asian context in India or more South Asian countries. So how are we like adapting like that? And yes, as an FBI, you do have to have proper American citizenship. Like a national green card won't even do it. You need a proper passport for applying in the FBI. So that's not possible for some of us.
All right, so
How is that?
let me put it this way. While Professor Rice gave an example of FBI, does not mean that everybody needs to work for FBI. There are enough and many opportunities available both in private as well as the government sector. Having said that, I do not know how many of you realize that there's something called artificial intelligence creeping in. And with artificial intelligence creeping in, your degree will be one part. The other part would be the skills that you will build while you are taking that degree. Now, when you talk about institutions like Albright, you just don't go there to study a course or a program. You go there to make friends from around the world. You go there to understand from their thought processes, their cultures, because you're studying in a place which is a melting pot for 30 plus countries, right? And when you learn from each other's experiences, you understand what goes behind the thought process. Because when you talk about, I'm not an expert in criminology, that's Professor Rice's job, but I can tell you with my understanding of psychology, and it's all practical understanding. I'm known to be a career counselor. All of you follow me, respect me, and everything. But my understanding is more practical than academic. And my understanding is that sometimes your culture also defines your thought processes. Sometimes your upbringing, your experiences also define your thought processes. Now, so you're absolutely right. I mean, if the research is being done in the West, will it apply to India, which has its own dynamics and which has its own narratives, and something which is so right for us would be so wrong for people in the West, and something which is so wrong for them is so right for us. It is all a matter of perspectives, and it is all a matter of upbringing. So my sense is whether it is criminology or whether it is psychology or any career that you want to go for, remember one thing: having exposure of people around the world, having understanding of their cultures, having understanding of the knowledge of criminology, you will be able to come back home and contribute, because human psychology is human psychology. So imagine because India is not great with criminology as a subject. We haven't developed it. We got to go towards the West. We got to go to Albright. We got to learn it there. But what we have an advantage, which an American wouldn't have in India, is that while we can go there and take the knowledge, the gift of the knowledge from the professors like Professor Rice, we still carry the understanding of Indian ecosystem, and we can come back to India and apply that knowledge with our Indian experience and then give it to institutions in India. Always remember, if you're a good human, you're a good human around the world. Always remember, if you're a criminal, you're a criminal around the world. Basic tenets of humanity do not change. What can change is culture and understanding. So my sense is this is a very complicated question, but to answer it simply, you do not have to worry. As long as you have the knowledge, you will be able to find work for yourself.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And
Yeah,
I just
I
want
will second part of that. I think that there's almost two different ways of hearing the question. And the first way is, will this knowledge that I gain in understanding human behavior be transferable? And I have to second Dr. Gupta's interpretation there entirely. Absolutely. Human beings think the same way. And indeed, by studying culture, you are prepared to think about culture. And in fact, I felt like I didn't understand where I was from until I left. As long as I was there my entire life, I just saw things as normal. And it wasn't until I left and I could see where I came from how others saw me, that I began to understand myself a bit better. There's anthropology. They talk about something called the alien anthropologist, which they say is the ideal perspective, that you can't understand a culture if you're from that culture, that you need to be able to see it from the outside in order to not take things for granted. The last thing in the world to discover water is going to be a fish, right? Because fish live in the water all the time. They don't know not water. So in order to know what water is, you have to leave the water to understand its nature. And I really feel the same thing about any study of culture. The other side of the question, though, of course, is the transferability of, for instance, legal systems, or the employment in India that would be parallel to the FBI. And those are systems that I don't have information with. That's something you'd probably have to either keep working with Dr. Gupta or do some work on your own to get the answers to those questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, because there is definitely paucity of time, but I would like to first of all thank Professor Rice. Thank you so much, Professor Rice, for your valuable 2 hours early in the morning on a Saturday. We truly appreciate you for interacting with our students from India. And I'm sure there are students from Middle East as well as Southeast Asian countries present over here. But certainly we would like to take this opportunity to thank you. Thank you so much, Michael, for being there, for coordinating everything with regards to your session. I'm sure this was not possible without your effort and the entire coordination. Thank you so much, Janice, for always being supportive and allowing us to get these kind of engagements for our students. And certainly there are many more planned where you will get to interact directly with the faculty of the colleges of Albright College. And we would be certainly delighted to host them in the near future as well. Thank you so much, Professor Rice. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much, Janice, for you guys also to be spending your 2 hours early in the morning. And whoever students where we could not get the questions answered by Professor Rice, Abhishek and I, we are going to stick around for at least 10 to 15 minutes and help you answer your certain questions so that you don't feel that, oh, my question was not being answered. But from our, yes, Abhishek.
I just wanted to, before you wrap it up, I just wanted to thank Professor Rice. Professor Rice, I've hosted these kind of sessions for our community and students from our school network multiple number of times. It is the first time I'm seeing 200 plus students even after 2 hours. You definitely did some magic, sir. And I just wanted to request you, I am planning, my team has written an email to Janice that I'm planning to visit Albright in the middle of September. And if you are there, I would definitely like to have a cup of coffee with you and pick your brains on some of these very innovative thoughts that you had and amazing piece of information that you shared with their students so that I can come back as a career counselor and a career coach and the founder of High School Moms. My best learning comes when I talk to people like you. So if you could afford a half an hour discussion with me, that'll be wonderful, sir.
I would really love that. That would be great. And I hope you're not the only one on this call, too. I hope I see some others to have coffee with in the future as well. You're all invited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Janice, for if Janice is there.
I'm still here.
All right. Thank you so much, both of you, for arranging this. This is phenomenal. Loved every bit of it. All three of you are free from our side to go while we engage and say thank you to our students.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for today. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That was Janice, Michael, and Professor Rice from Albright College talking to us about criminology. Thank you so much for being on the camera. Thank you so much for maintaining the decorum. It is, I always say this, we are the brand ambassadors of a young India. By you being on the camera, by you respecting the professor and the universities and the colleges that come on High School Moms, you do one thing for yourself. Next time, when you would travel abroad, your passport will be respected. I always say this, that when I started as a career counselor and the founder of High School Moms, And some of you are following High School Moms. Some of you might have seen me on the reel. Please follow High School Moms. Please follow Guide AI. I always say this, that there was nobody to guide me. And my entire reason of bringing these sessions, bringing the faculty so that you can learn directly from the people who know the best, bringing the institutions who are the best in their league. Criminology as a subject, not very many institutions teach in the world. It wasn't easy to bring Professor Rice. There were a lot of people from Janice to Michael to Avni to Meenu to Chitransh in my team who worked a lot to bring Professor Rice behind the scenes so that you could learn. I do not know how many of you understand Hindi, but अगर दिल से एक बात बोलूं तुम लोगों को, from a second-hand cycle to coming to becoming a founder of world's largest parent-student community, to becoming a founder of of Guide AI, which is a Forbes-selected career counseling, career advisory, SAT prep, college admission company. The only one thing that I think that I have done it right is being true to myself. That's about it. मैंने और किसी से सच बोला हो चाहे नहीं बोला हो, बचपन में बहुत मार खाई मम्मी से, पापा से झूठ बोलने के लिए, बट मैंने अपने आप से सच हमेशा बोला. और कुछ हो नहीं हो, प्लीज स्पीक ट्रूथ टू योरसेल्फ. I know I have been a teenager. I'm a father of a teenager. My son, he just landed from US. He's in grade 12. He's possibly world's #1 debater. मैं उसको अगर कुछ बताता हूँ तो एक ही यही चीज बताता हूँ. You will do great as long as you are true to yourself. सिर्फ अपने आप से सच बोल, और किसी से बोल पाए मत बोल पाए नहीं, सब चलेगा. As long as you do not lie to yourself. काश मेरे टाइम पे कोई मेरे लिए ये सेशंस कर पाता. Possibly you would have seen a criminologist, not a career counselor. Maybe a space scientist, not a career counselor. Go out there, find out what you like to do, but back it up with your aptitude. कई बार तुम लोग सबको ये लगता है कि it's all about interest. No, it's not always about interest. It is also about जिस चीज में तुमको इंटरेस्ट है, क्या उस चीज में टॉप 1% पे जाने का तुम्हें एप्टीट्यूड भी है. अदरवाइज इंटरेस्ट विल मेक यू हैप्पी बट नॉट सक्सेसफुल. सो सिर्फ इंटरेस्ट पे मत जाओ. जब तुम अपने मम्मी पापा को बोलते हो कि ओ आई एम इंटरेस्टेड इन दिस, आस्क योरसेल्फ बिफोर सेइंग दैट, yes, I'm interested, but do I have the aptitude to become top 1% in that career? For example, I'll tell you, I wish somebody would have told me this when I was young. I was decent enough in academics. If you ask me, Abhishek, can you pass a degree of data science today? The answer is a yes. Fail तो नहीं होऊंगा दोस्त, चाहे कुछ भी पढ़वा ले. पढ़ करके, रट करके, प्रैक्टिस करके, कुछ भी करके पास तो हो जाऊंगा, डिग्री आ जाएगी. But will I become the top 1% data scientist in the world? The answer is no. You know why? Because the analytical skills required to become the top 1% data scientist अपने में है ही नहीं. But am I the top 1% counselors in Asia Pacific? The answer is a yes. Because एक अच्छा काउंसलर बनने के लिए जो चीज चाहिए वो है तुम लोगों के साथ दिल से बात करना. वो कूट कूट के है मेरे में. That's there in plenty and in bounty. So when you have communication skills, you can become Asia's #1 counselor. But when you do not have analytical skills, how much ever degree you get, you'll never become Asia's #1 data scientist. So it's not always about interest. It is also about aptitude. Go out there, research more about Albright. That's one institution where you can customize your degree, get education. Go out there, research more about criminology, and not just criminology. Go out there and research more about careers you want to get into. But do not research through the lens of Netflix. Research it through the lens of your Google, right platforms, not Wikipedia, just the right authentic platforms. With that, I wish all of you become super successful one day, so that one day you might be able to tell somebody this story. एक काउंसलिंग सेशन और एक क्रिमिनोलॉजी के सेशन ने मेरी जिंदगी बदल दी. You don't need to remember my name. You don't need to remember High School Moms. You don't need to remember Guide AI. You need to remember today evening, there were 200 plus of you sacrificing your Saturday. And that too when you are a teenager, where it's the most exciting time where you could have watched Netflix. I'm proud of you who are on the camera to spend 2 hours or a little more than 2 hours to spend for your career, because nobody's going to come and help you. Believe me, not even your parents can help you to become successful. The only person who can help you to become successful is you. That's it. Have a great evening. Good night, all of you. Please wait for 15 days before writing us emails, WhatsApps, Instagram messages. 15 days it will take for your certificate to land in your inbox. Do not send me any email, any WhatsApp, any message before 15 days are over. So which means today we are sitting on 25th of June, which is 9 days for June and 6 more days, which means before 7th of July, none of you are writing me for your certificates. I promise you, if you were on the camera, you're getting it. And if you are not on the camera, how much ever you write to us, we are not giving you a certificate. That's the commitment I asked from you in the video message that I had sent. Before you go, just give me a big smile so that I can take a couple of screenshots for my LinkedIn and my social media. And tomorrow morning, you would be able to catch your picture on High School Mom's Instagram handle. And you can then reshare it. Second screen. Big smile. Let the cheeks pain. Big smile. Let the cheeks pain. One more. Awesome. One more. Awesome. जो इधर उधर देख रहा है और खराब दिखेगा, महंगा दिखेगा, फिर मुझे ब्लेम मत करना कि सर सोशल मीडिया पे ऐसा पिक्चर क्यों डाल दिया. So look into the camera. All right, 8 screens done. 9th screen, nobody was on the camera, so they miss out and they miss out on the certificate. All the best, guys. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you so much, everybody. As Abhishek said, you will receive your certificates in 2 working weeks. And let me still take a moment before all of you go. Abhishek mentioned about somebody who has to be successful. There is already a student who reached out to Kirti. Her name is Dhriti Kotian. She wants to know more about Albright. And what she did was, when she's still in the meeting, I do see her in the meeting, she already reached out to Kirti to know more about Albright for her next steps. So thank you so much, Vritti, for taking that first step to know more about Albright. If you want to do that, reach out to her, drop her a message. Obviously, it's Saturday evening. She will certainly reply to you on WhatsApp, but definitely give her some time to get back to you over a call and share more details with you. Until we see you next time, thank you so much. And whoever is trying to reach me, let me assure you, I will reach out to you guys shortly. Thank you. Good night. God bless. All the very best for your future. And we look forward to interacting with you sometime in the near future. Bye-bye.